In February 2025, the failure of the Sino Metals dam triggered a toxic spill into the Kafue River. This was more than an environmental disaster. It was an assault on communities, livelihoods, and ecosystems. Months later, critical questions remain. How did this happen? What has been done? Troubling gaps in the information and accountability persist. The impacted communities and the nations have been left in an uncertainty. In the absence of clear information, misinformation has flourished, resulting in a need for public dialogue on the matter. On September 11, 2025, a cross-section of society united for the Beyond the Spill public discussion. Civil society, journalists, activists, students, and community representatives filled the room, bound by a common purpose to determine transparency, accountability, and action.
Ladies and gentlemen, these cases of pollution have without doubt revealed deep gaps in our country's environmental and mining oversight, enforcement mechanisms, and government's commitment and responsibility to protect its citizens and to decisively sanction wrongdoing by mining companies involved.
Our mission is simple. This platform is really about knowledge sharing. Let's share our thoughts, let's ask questions, and let's also share ideas.
On transparency, investigative journalist Charles argued that when disasters strike, the media must be more than a microphone for official statements. They must be watchdogs, uncovering truth, challenging silence, and amplifying community voices. He also highlighted barriers faced, including restricted access, delayed responses, and restricted access to communities.
What is the role of journalists when such a catastrophic disaster happens?
I think the first duty of journalists or journalism is to establish facts quickly and accurately. Our role out of this fog is to make sure that we verify what really happened and also document the scale of the damage long after the headlines fade, so that accountability and justice don't get lost in time. The biggest obstacle in this disaster, of course, has been the official silence and the half-truths. Institutions release carefully worded statements that often downplay the scale of the disaster. And getting scientific data like independent water quality tests or health assessments has been extremely difficult. And sometimes the information exists, but it is locked up in government offices or only selectively shared. And for us, that means long waits, repeated requests, and at times being treated with suspicion for simply asking a question.
But uncovering the truth is only the first step. As Melissa highlighted, true accountability requires action, justice for affected families, fair compensation, and stronger laws to prevent future tragedies. He pointed to gaps in Zambia's regulatory framework and stressed that enforcement must go beyond words.
What are the most viable avenues for redress for the affected communities?
The ideal outcome would be that the environment, the river, the people who live around the river, the trees, the fish, the aquatic plants, all of them should be put back where they were before the disaster happened. So what is here is that we have a regulatory framework or a legal framework which has, for lack of a better term, it has failed. 2 weeks after the incident, the Engineering Institution of Zambia issued a statement where they actually said that the tailings dams that had collapsed were actually substandard. But then you find that these were tailings which were approved by a regulator. We have also failed on the remediation part, because here we are, 7-8 months later, we still do not know for a fact how much of the contaminant was there. Or what I can say, they can make orders for restoration, especially ZEMA. ZEMA has the power to order a polluter to restore the environment to what it was before. Where you find such failures happening, it goes to show that we have the legal framework. I think legal framework is there. It goes to the appetite of wanting to enforce that framework without fear or favor.
While laws are debated in boardrooms, the reality on the ground is stark. Martin shared that farmlands remain contaminated and water sources unsafe. Families are still waiting for meaningful redress. With the rainy season approaching, communities are calling for immediate support and long-term solutions that match the promises made.
What is the situation on the ground right now, and what are the people most afraid of?
The communities on the Copper Belt, and to be more specific, Luela and Kalusale communities. These are peasant farmers. When the tearing down gave up, it affected their crops, meaning the food security has been compromised.
How has been the flow of information?
The mere information that the community relied upon is do not take water where the spillage has passed, without providing clear information on what will come after.
What does the community want, and what do you want to communicate to us, the people that are listening, but also to government, as well as to the polluter, in this case, Sino Metals?
We need to make sure that we put pressure on the government as well as the polluter, which is Sino Mines, to do the right thing.
The Beyond the Spill discussion was never about pointing fingers. It was about shifting the conversation from silence to truth, from neglect to accountability, and from despair to collective action. Protecting our environment is not optional. It is a matter of justice, dignity, and protecting our people's future.
From a civil society aspect, we need to look at, okay, can we sit down together and come up with a plan in terms of how we're going to advocate before government to actually set up actual policy?
All of us have phones, we have social media, and so we decide the news to a large extent. If we don't stop talking about this, the story won't die. We can't just keep it on, let's civil society, let's do our part as well, let's educate ourselves, let's speak about this, and let's hold the people accountable.
On behalf of PRS 365, Transparency International Zambia, and the Zambia Environmental Justice Coalition, I would like to thank all the panelists, our partners, and most importantly, all of you who have joined this dialogue. Your participation is proof that Zambians will not look away when our land, our water, and our people are put at risk.